The most recent video, along with sparking some attempted antagonism in the replies to my comment, gives us a major detail. Dolly is the one who killed Nia's mother. Looking at the figure in the corner, you'll notice a bundle of hair in front of the figure's face and what looks like one of Dolly's twin tails. In fact, what we can see almost resembles what we can see of Dolly in I Miss You. This would explain why Dolly was put in the mental hospital, since I was under the implication that it was Nee who did it. This does, however, leave a void for why Nee was put in the hospital and treated as a danger the second time, along with bringing in question exactly why Dolly writes Big Sister in I Miss You, in the part that implies someone's death. However, if it were Nee who did this, then her mother wouldn't have a reason to follow Dolly while Dolly hides. Perhaps this angel doesn't imply death, but that Dolly views her older sister as an angel, and the skeletal form might be based on the fact that Nee just looks like that. This representing Nee would make sense, especially considering that the Earl videos in Insanity represented Nee as an angel twice. This would bring the question of why Dolly knows Nee looks like that. Of course, there may be a simple explanation, considering they are siblings. But perhaps, if what this implies is that Dolly thought Nee was killed, this may mean that she saw her mother doing something to Nee and thought that it was Nee being killed, and in fear or retaliation, she killed her mother instead. Perhaps this would explain the title, these being the last words Dolly heard from her mother. That would make sense, considering how we see the hallucination move in Mom, writhing as if it were trying to get something off before we see the knife appear in her neck. Perhaps Dolly grabbed onto her mother's back and stabbed her before slitting her throat. But if we know what this part of the writing on the wall means, perhaps we can find out what the rest means. If you pay attention, the three crosses on top seem to overlap with the two eyes and their mother. If we consider this as a timeline, we see that Nia's mother's story is that she was expelled by whoever the cloud represents, and therefore fell into alcoholism. Whoever this could represent seems to have been arrested, while the third cross seems to imply someone put into the cult, Nee. If this theory is true, then that means Nia's father is in prison. As for Dolly's place in this, she may be represented by this lower eye, since she is physically next to it. What makes this difficult is that if this goes down to the final area, then that would imply Nee was the one in prison and the one who expelled her mother, unless my initial guess is wrong and the cloud and the falling woman are not connected, because this tells us a lot more. This means that the right cross, Nee, had experienced a storm, possibly one of her mental health issues or the abuse she went through, followed by a time in restraint, like her being held in the cult. The middle cross, her mother, experienced something, perhaps what the horrors she has seen were, and fell into alcoholism, and whatever happened to make her be represented like that occurred, followed by her death. The left cross, her father, was seemingly part of a cult or related to the hospital, before possibly becoming Christian. I am not sure what else the cross would represent, and following his conversion, he dies. Additional, if we use this as an Earl timeline, then this tells us that Nee first had the mental issues, before the family's deeper involvement with the cult, especially the father's role. While the others suffered, their father split off from the cult and became religious, and tried to help his family, but soon suffered an untimely death, as did his wife. This leaves Dolly to have nothing but her big sister, before even she is torn away from her as Dolly is taken to the hospital. But if the cross at the bottom does represent her late father's death, perhaps what we see in Labyrinth also represents that. Maybe the skull represents her mother's death, which motivated her father to help her before his death. But I feel like I need more evidence to be sure about that. Am I right, or am I delusional? We'll have to wait and see.